Hello, hello, hello. I am Candace Sims and I am your bereavement coach, your life coach, your grief coach. And along with being your personal grief coach, I am also a bereavement coordinator for businesses who are interested in hiring professionals to come in and speak with your employees about grief, loss, trauma, stress in order to in order for them to continue excellent productivity. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about purpose and why coaching is necessary. Coaching is still one of the most hidden jewels, hidden gems as a tool, as a strategy to allow people to come into their own purpose, to come into their own identity, to help them understand life, to help them to understand themselves from their own vantage point. For many years now, the go to has always been therapy. And I am not knocking on therapy because there are some things that coaching cannot resolve that may need to be referred to a clinical licensed therapist. If you are a person who struggles with grief and loss, you understand very much how sadness, depression may make us feel unproductive, may make us feel confused, may make us feel stuck, worried about the future. And before I really understood that there was such a thing as sadness, depression, I was very much concerned about becoming a person in a depressive state because I know what depression can do to your mind, to your body, to your productivity, to your energy levels. Depression is not a friend, depression is not a motivator. It can be. I'm going to talk a little bit about that toward the end of this video. But depression scared me half to death. And it wasn't until I learned that there was a difference between sadness, depression, and clinical depression. Sadness, depression helps us to understand that we're human, that we're normal, that there are certain things that happen in life that causes us to be sad, that causes us to be discouraged, that causes us to be hurt and in pain. But when that hurt, that pain, that sadness, that disappointment is left unattended, then something really, really bad happens. It turns into a clinical depressive state. And that's when you need a therapist to get involved. And sometimes you may even need medication to help you up out of this clinically depressive state. Why is coaching necessary? I often have to remind myself that I am not just an average person. And I want you to know and understand that you're not just an average person as well. If you say that enough, if you're consistent with making that your morning mantra or your daily mantra, somehow your mind catches up to that and you start living above average. You start taking chances, you start going for certain positions because your body is used to and accustomed to you telling it that you're above average. You're not just average, you're above average. So what coaching does is coaching reminds you that you're above average. If you have a coach that's present with you. I mean, really present with you. That you know when you're bearing your heart and your soul to a person that you've hired to help you get from one destination to another, if you feel that they're connected with you and that they're present with you, that coach is going to help you understand that you're more than just average. I have this thriving ability to either speed up my progress or to slow down my progress, and so do you. You have the ability to speed up your progress or to slow down. It's called acceleration or it's called deceleration. The older we get, we should be improving. The older we get, we should be learning more. The older we get, we should be experiencing more. It is true that the older we get, the closer we get to death, because death is something that's definitely inevitable. But, and death is something that you can't escape. So if you learn to think about death this way, when you come to your deathbed, can you look back and say, I have lived a life worthy of purpose? I have lived a life worthy of existence. That's what it's all about. I think a lot of times we waste too much time doing nothing. We take too much time following others. We waste so much time not building our own talents. We waste so much time not building our own talents. We have to do that. We have to do that. And that's why coaching is necessary. A coach reminds you and holds you accountable in making goals and achieving your goals. Now, you got to be clear on what your goals are. And it is not surprising to me that there are people who are in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and maybe even their 60s that are still kind of muddling through life trying to figure out what their purpose is. It's not surprising to me. It may be surprising to you, but as a coach, it's not surprising to me. And I say that because, especially for a female, especially for a non-professional female, what I mean by non-professional is a corporate. A corporate female pretty much knows what her purpose is. But a lot of us are not in corporate America. And so, what is our purpose? For some of us, our purpose is taking care of our children, and that's a good purpose. Some of us is taking care of our husbands. That's also a good purpose. Taking care of our households, making sure our households are in order and intact. Those are awesome purposes. But you have a personal purpose as well. Those things are things that are managed by you, but they are not things that define who you are as a whole. Your purpose defines who you are as a whole. And that's why coaching is necessary, because coaching will allow you to to um, to separate or to divide or to separate yourself from things that you do that you find fulfillment in versus things that are are you, and how you show up in the world and how your presence is the very thing that's an answer to a problem in the community, in your neighborhood, in your family. Do you feel as though you're an answer to a problem and not over and over and over, not the answer to someone else's problem, but an answer to a problem? If you're an answer to someone else's problem, you're always going to be their go to. But if you're an answer to a problem, then it ends with you. Then when you show up and when you offer your gift and offer your talent, it no longer poses itself as a problem. You have solved that problem. And that's birthed out of purpose. So I am here to challenge you. Discover your purpose. Fulfill your purpose. Mhm. Again, what does your gifting solve in this world? Because you're here for a purpose. If you have read that book, A Purpose Driven Life, it's a 40-day devotional on what in the world am I here for? What on earth am I here for? And if you have gotten to that 40th day and you still don't understand what your purpose is, you just may need a coach and you just may read that book again. I challenge you to read that book again. When greatness struggles to surface. Listen, we all have greatness within us and inside of us. But when it struggles to surface, when it struggles to be seen and recognized and heard, then you just may need a coach. That greatness needs to come out of you and do what it is intended to do. When greatness struggles to surface, we live in lack, we live in confusion, we live in misery, we're held back, we're impoverished, and we just waste a whole lot of time. We waste resources. I don't want you to live like that. I want you to live purposeful. I want you to understand what your purpose is. It is never, ever, ever too late to understand what your purpose is in this world. It's time for you to unearth and extract your greatness. And a coach can do that. I can do that for me. And then, lastly, if you need proof, listen, we know that our thoughts create the world that we tend to live in and experience. There's a scripture in the Bible that talks about when God tells us, your thoughts are not my thoughts. My thoughts are higher than your thoughts. Listen, our thoughts are not God's thoughts. So when we're having a problem with our thoughts, if our thoughts are not elevating us and edifying us to live within our purpose, then go back to your source and allow him to help you figure out what your purpose are, what your purposes are. Because if your thoughts are allowing you to stay stuck and confused, in misery, held back, impoverished, and just a waste of time and space, then you need to change the way you think about things. And you need to borrow God's thoughts, borrow God's ways. His ways are your ways. If you're continuing on in your ways, you're not taking anything away from what God can do. You're just prolonging your the way to your final destination. You're prolonging it. And sadly, a lot of us don't have time like that. I know I don't have time like that. I didn't realize what my purpose was until I turned 40. And I thank God that I learned what my purpose is. And you know what? Adversity hit at 40. That's when I lost my son to murder. At 40. I was 40. He was 22. For the first 2 years, I was confused, sadness, depression, foreclosed, lost my home, lost many, many jobs, couldn't focus, lack of productivity. I was dwindling. I was losing it. I was becoming nothing. I was becoming less and less and less of who I was. And so therefore I could not become more and more and more of who I wanted to be. But I thank God that I did not allow adversity to take me out of here. I allowed my adversity to show me what my purpose is in life. And so I say to that, adversity can be your motivator or it can be a distractor. It's up to you to decide how you want to deal with your adversity. Don't resist it, lean into it. Allow me to coach you. Do a consultation with me. Reach out to me at www.concepts with a dash power.com. My email address is 678. I'm sorry. My email address is Candace, Candace, 1288 at gmail.com. And you can call me by phone, 678-499-9587. Thank you so much for giving me 15 minutes of your time to share with you about why coaching is necessary. See you next time.